Manuel Garcia and Carlos Diaz were on a normal fishing trip in the Pacific Ocean on a day that seemed calm. They were both experienced fishermen who had spent a lot of time in the ocean, but nothing could have prepared them for the brutal shark attack that would change their lives forever. As they were bringing in their catch, a great white shark came out of nowhere and attacked their boat with great force. Manuel and Carlos tried very hard to keep the shark away, but it still got a hold of them and hurt them so badly that they could die. This is the story of how two men were attacked by a shark and had to fight for their lives. Subscribe us and stay with us, because the story is going to be very interesting. Let's begin. This is the terrifying shark attack of Manuel Garcia and Carlos Diaz. Jaws came out in 1975, but what if there were a lot of sharks in the water? The shark's body is shaped like a torpedo, so it can swim up to 35 miles per hour, and it has up to 7 rows of 300 teeth. However, the shark's brain is much smarter than its body. Seals and dolphins are smart animals, and the shark has to be smarter than them to catch them. Although sharks have a reputation for being lone hunters, there's been a lot of research done in Mexico. Scientists say that research done on Mexico's Guadalupe Island in the Pacific Ocean shows that great white sharks are social and sometimes work together to catch prey. A team of scientists from Florida International University made a social tag tracking device to put on great white sharks that has a video camera and sensors that measure the shark's speed, depth, and direction. The device also has receivers that can tell when other sharks are nearby. The team then put the devices on both male and female white sharks. Data collected over a 4-year period showed that, instead of being alone, hunter sharks like to live and hunt in groups of the same gender, but their ways of hunting were different. They would take turns patrolling smaller prey like seal colonies, but when it came to hunting larger prey, they would often hunt in groups and work together to take down their prey. Scientists even thought that white sharks would share information about where the remains of large prey were with other sharks, showing that they were very smart in the wild. It makes sense that most shark attacks are done by a single shark. However, even though the vast majority of great white shark attacks on humans are done by a single shark, the brutal attack in these stories is an example of a group of 8 great white sharks working together to hunt and kill 3 young boys. In the rough seas, the rocks often tempted swimmers to walk among them or swim next to them, even though they didn't know how dangerous this could be. People who climb the brick walls often fall because the water makes them slippery and the waves keep splashing over them. Waters also frequently cut their feet on mussels and other sea life that grows on underwater rocks. The sea around the breakwater often has riptides and strong currents that could pull swimmers under or, as happened to Raymond and his 2 friends, slam them into the rocks of the breakwater, causing serious injury or even death. It was an unusually hot day when Raymond and his friends arrived in Port Rio Jaina. The boys couldn't resist the idea of sitting on the breakwater and putting their feet in the water. Within a few minutes, they were climbing up the breakwater's slippery rock wall. They'd been to this exact spot before and seen huge waves crashing against the rocks, but on this beautiful day, the water was calm, so they decided to jump in next to the wall. They took turns jumping off the breakwater into the sea, diving to the bottom and having fun while cooling off in the water, when seemingly out of nowhere, dark clouds rolled in over the boys and the water started to get choppy and rough, and within a minute, you started to drown. As the boys were being pushed onto the rocks, the water's force kept getting bigger. Carlos was able to hold onto the wall and get away, but Raymond and Emmanuel were pulled back into the water by the currents. Carlos stood on the rocks, waiting for the waves to push his friends back up against the wall so he could grab them and pull them to safety. But as the water crashed down on the rocks, it swept Carlos off his feet and into the water again. His arm felt strangely hot, and when he checked it, he saw that it was badly cut open and bleeding. Manuel had also cut his upper right thigh badly when he was thrown onto the rocks by the waves, which made it hard for him to swim and stay afloat in the rough waters. Luckily, Raymond was able to grab onto the rocks on the wall and pull himself out of the water to safety, but his 2 friends were swept hundreds of feet out to sea by the current. Raymond could only cling to the rocks for dear life as waves crashed down on him and watch his 2 friends drown. Sharks can smell blood from hundreds of meters away and in concentrations as low as 1 part per million. The two boys were bleeding heavily from their wounds, which brought a pack of great white sharks to the area for an easy meal. Sharks have a good sense of hearing and are sensitive to low-frequency sounds. They can track sounds and are especially drawn to the sounds of injured animals thrashing in the water, which is the sound Carlos and Manuel were making as they tried to swim back to shore while hurt. The boys started to hear Raymond yelling from the breakwater, warning them to swim as fast as they could. Manuel was thrown completely out of the water and into the air when a second shark came torpedoing out of the water like a rocket and bit Manuel's belly in midair before crashing down in the water next to Carlos. Several beachgoers saw this and immediately started looking for help. Out of fear, Carlos began swimming as fast as he could to the shore. The pain from his injuries seemed to have gone away because of all the adrenaline rushing through his body. He could see a few dorsal fins break the surface of the water in front of him before they went back down, but he had no choice but to keep swimming to shore. One of the people who saw Manuel's brutal death was the owner of a small boat at the port. As soon as he got within 20 feet of Carlos, a huge great white shark bit down on his right arm and shoulder and started shaking violently. Carlos screamed in pain as a second shark came up from the other side and clamped down on his left arm and head. Before taking him under the water, all that was left was a pool of red blood in the water. The rescue boat waited for Carlos to come back up so they could save him, but he never did. Tragically, Carlos and Manuel were never seen again. No remains ever washed up on the shore, and it was clear that a pack of sharks ate every last one of them. The 16-year-old's spirit, Raymond, was later rescued from the breakwall and made a full recovery, but he never went back into the water in the Dominican Republic again because of what happened. There have been different accounts from the 3 witnesses on the beach that day and from Manuel about how the sharks were in the water and what happened during the attack. Some witnesses say that the boys had already died from their injuries. Before the sharks attacked, people were sure they saw the 2 boys alive and desperately trying to get away. 5 to 8 sharks were seen in the water that day, but no one will ever know for sure how many sharks were in the man-eating pack. That's it for today. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to share and press the bell icon for more regular updates.